Welcome back to the Whiskey Rebellion from the north and south of the middle of the country.
Right.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Awesome. It's been a few weeks since we talked, and lots of things are happening. So just a little rundown of what we're going to talk about. The police shoot people again. Kristi Noem quite possibly has tanked her career, we'll call it that. Maybe her entire public life. We'll dig into that a little bit. And Andrew got to go play with some bourbon.
And
watch some horses.
That's true.
So that's what's coming up on the Whiskey Rebellion. If you are watching this live, Whiskey Rebellion on YouTube, push the subscribe button and the little dingy bell. You know how, I don't know. This is weird. We're trying this new thing. So anyway, welcome to the craziness that we enjoy. And we will have a bourbon that we're going to pull out in a second. So, but Andrew, how was the
only
Derby?
Bourbons. You can only pull out bourbons. Nothing else.
All right. How was the?
Not that kind of show.
How was
man.
How was the horsey race thing?
You know, it was a blast. It was my first time going to Churchill Downs. So I went to Thurby, which is the Thursday races.
Is that the cheaper one?
Yeah, for sure. So Thurby, and then Oaks is Friday night, and then the Derby is Saturday. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How much snobbery exists at the Derby?
You know, it didn't seem like a whole lot to me. People were pretty down to earth. Of course, I was there on Thursday, which is maybe a little different. But no, everybody was pretty cool. You know, people dress up and compliment each other. And somebody was commenting about the difference it makes when people dress up in the way that they act. So, you know, massive amounts of bourbon is consumed, and lots of cigars are smoked. But people seem to be on pretty good behavior overall.
Are they exempt from any kind of smoking bans? Just be like the grandfathered in?
I don't know what the whole, you know, that stuff varies by state, right? You can't smoke indoors, but in the stands, it's acceptable. So apparently you could smoke indoors up until a few years ago, and they recently banned that.
So you can smoke right beside someone sitting there as long as you're outside and you're good to go.
That's right. Huh. You know, it's almost like you live in America or something. It's amazing.
Interesting. So did you?
It's almost like you know, when you used to be able to board a plane and take your stuff on with you.
Yeah.
Instead of having it illegally confiscated at the gate because somebody decides that we have too much of something.
Take off your shoes. Oh, what do you mean?
You know, check this out. Your shoes, yeah. I've had pre-check for so long that I haven't taken my shoes off in over 5 years.
Brother, gloat a little bit.
I was going through TSA pre-check the other day, and they stopped me, searched my bag. I had a 3/8 extension in my bag.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact measurements, but I had 2 of them in there. One of them was about, I think, 8 inches long, 8 or 10 inches long. The other was like 4 or 5 inches long. They took the longer of the 2 because it exceeded the length of tools you could bring on a plane.
There's a policy for tools on a plane?
I had nothing else with it. What am I going to do
no idea
with a 3/8 extension?
Oh, brother.
You know,
well, you clearly were going to go and take apart. Oh, no. This is genius. Of course they needed to do that. Hello? Were you on a Boeing airplane by chance?
They didn't want me to take the door loose. How am I going to do that?
Either that or they didn't want you to fix it.
That's right. Well, yeah, it's ludicrous. Here's the thing that's so funny. I often carry things through that I'm not supposed to, surely
on
by
purpose.
Accident. No, no. So my travel kind of bounces around a little bit between car and airplane, right? So if something's close by that I need to go to, I drive there. And so I will often stick a torch in my suitcase or my
Cigar
backpack.
torch.
Yeah, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Which you cannot carry on a plane. Now,
Of
a
course,
lighter
because
is
you'll
fine.
burn the place down.
A lighter is
Oh.
fine. You can bring a lighter. Wait a minute. You can bring a lighter. You can also
okay.
bring, you
Is
can
that
also bring
because
a,
is that because a torch is come under pressure?
I don't know. I don't know what their reasoning is. You can also bring on a book of matches. You cannot bring on wooden matches, and you cannot bring on a torch. I
What's
can't
wrong with wood?
It's forbidden by the man.
Government.
So I can't tell you the number of times I've can't come through with either a wooden matches that I've picked up at a cigar shop or or a torch.
And they
8,
take them from
10,
you, or
12,
you
man,
slide under.
most of the time they never catch it. But then every once in a while they catch it and they make a huge issue out of it. And it's like, whatever, just take the thing and move on.
Right.
So anyway, I think I derailed us there. But yeah,
hey, that's all right.
The Kentucky Derby did feel a little bit like being back in America for just a very short period of time.
So all right. I'm just thinking that what does that do? Do you think there's a political bent at that event?
That's a good question. There wasn't really any politics going on there, but man, there has to be a certain tilt towards the right, I would think there,
Okay.
Your animal people don't like it. Crazy animal people, not the people that actually take care of animals, just the crazy animal people.
Or shoot them? Sorry. Never mind.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, we could jump right into that as well,
Yeah.
but
in a minute.
I think you can't be too far left and be at the Derby. I don't think that's allowed, unless of course you're just there because you want to be seen. The celebrity cases that show up there, right?
But is it possible that those celebrities, they want that because it's publicity? And what other event has the main named sponsor as a whiskey brand?
I'm not sure that there is. What was it? This year was what? Well, this year was what combination Woodford and Old Forester, right?
Oh, I only saw Woodford announced on the broadcast, so maybe maybe they were the main.
So Old Forester was the other one that was there. So
fantastic! I love Old Forester. It's a good product. So what are we drinking? So I had to go dig around in Sioux Falls to find a bottle that I didn't have that you had.
It may seem a little counterintuitive that we are going with an Evan Williams bottle because, I mean that's not usually what people think as necessarily good whiskey, right?
Well, it's typically low bottom shelf, but their bottled in bond is like $20, and apparently it's a killer for $20. It's a phenomenal product.
Yeah. So I think we have similar bottles here, right? That was barreled in 2015.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, mine was barreled in 2015. So this is the Evan Williams. See if my camera will work. It was failing.
It's not. There you go. Now it's zooming.
Evan Williams single barrel vintage 2015. It is really low proof. It's 86.6 proof. So that's low for my typical shelf. And now my camera went totally to crap. Awesome. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
So, hey, it's clear when you put your face up there, so you're good.
That's perfect. Nice. It's not clear now.
As long as we're looking up your nostrils, we're all good.
I have this old lens that I've thrown around years. It's probably 20 years old, and it doesn't like me very well. Oh, it's dumb.
So anyway, I was saying that these are not necessarily high-end bottles. You don't really think of Evan Williams as much more than somebody that kind of does nasty shots or maybe mixes it with something. Right. It's not your typical. You're getting there.
This is terrible. Hold on. Keep going.
So, yeah, it's not. You seem to be having some problems there.
This is great. I love it. No, not at all. So what you're seeing is no lens there at all. This is fun.
Yeah. So anyway, this particular one is actually well aged, right? 2015. In this case, mine was bottled at the end of 23, and yours was bottled at the end of or at the beginning of 24.
February 24. Yep.
Yeah. So I think you ended up with several, about 11, 12 months more of time in the barrel, which is not a bad thing, right? Of course, I guess there is some controversy about what, man, you are blurry.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is you're going to be on here because I have to go find something else. So read the tasting notes on this and talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Did you have tasting notes on this? You didn't even give me the tasting notes. What are the tasting notes on this?
Well, come on. I thought that was your job.
That was my job? All right. So this bourbon was personally selected by our master distiller only after meeting his exacting standards for this vintage. This sounds like a sales pitch to me. Taken from a single barrel, it is the art of bourbon making at its finest, bottled, unblended with other barrels to preserve its individuality, hand numbered as a sign of its limited availability. So this particular one on my end was barreled on 11/18/15, barrel number 205, and it was bottled on 8/15/23. So about 8 years in the barrel, which is a good amount of time in the barrel. I think the tasting notes on this are hidden somewhere. So I'm taking a look at this. So yeah, the 43.3% alcohol by volume, which is not a real high one for a bourbon. And this one comes from the Heaven Hill.
We'll see if this works.
All right, you're about back. You're almost back, huh?
I'm just gonna yell.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, let's see what. Hey, that's better. Maybe.
All right,
a little wider. What happens when I?
Hey.
Different gear. Hey, that's
you
better.
look.
All right.
You look a lot better there.
Sweet.
I like it.
Okay.
Good fit. So yeah, I was just kind of rambling about the labeling on the bottle here.
All right.
So this, what is this one? This one is the.
Do you have this little booklet that's in the bottom of it? All right, ready? This.
I didn't get that book. Oh wait, yes, I guess I did.
Single barrel bourbon and Evan Williams single barrel bourbon. Typically, bourbon is a blend of many bottles.
That's right.
Barrels. Bourbon bottled from a single barrel is categorized as single barrel bourbon. This font is special. Evan Williams single barrel vintage bourbon, however, is much more. Talk about propaganda, marketing.
Oh,
it's the only single barrel bourbon bottled with a vintage date to provide proof of age and the subtle year-to-year distinctions found in fine wine. What a difference a date makes. It's whiskey of the year after year after year. Anyway, so they have a lot of accolades in this thing. Uncork a bottle of Evan Williams single barrel vintage bourbon for a date you will always remember. So, Evan Williams single barrel. Now, yeah, I agree the bottom shelf is normally there, but what did this cost when you were down in Kentucky?
I think this was about $50 a bottle.
Okay, I paid $35 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, at the local Hy-Vee. One of them. There's like 5 Hy-Vees down there. Oh, all right.
So I wonder how much of that is a tax difference.
See, there is only a one. I believe it's only 1%. Hang on, I think I have my receipt here. Let's see, where was it? Hey, look at that. All right, Evan Williams single barrel, $34.99. The tax is 7.2%. So standard sales tax in South Dakota for everything else is 6.2. Well, it's 4.2 plus whatever the city. And cities are normally 2%. So they're only adding an additional 1% on liquor, which is fantastic.
Only taking an additional 1% from you.
Only an additional one, yes.
Only an additional one.
So special. Thanks, government. So did you pour anything yet?
I have not. I have not cracked the seal on this.
Broke the wax on this thing?
This one's kind of interesting, huh? It's almost like a Maker's Mark type.
Kinda. That irritates me. Ready? That was weak.
Oh.
Huh. Interesting. It's a real cork. That's always fun. I'm tired of these fake plastic corks.
Plastic ones?
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm using the Bourbon Trail glass, which I prefer. I got as for several months a while back. I was part of a local whiskey club that we put together called the Blind Pig. Unfortunately, the Blind Pig people, our main dude, decided to move away, so we lost.
Well, I was thinking about going with this one, but I think today I need something that will open up a little bit more, so we're going to go with this fancy dude
the
here.
World. Perfect. I like it. Excellent.
Indeed.
All right, so while this airs out, it's got a little bit of, it's kind of oaky and almost cinnamony. Not quite.
Yeah, it does have a...
Yeah. Now, I presume that since these are single barrels that ours will be somewhat, there'll be variations.
There'll be some variation there. There's some variation just in the fact that we're drinking different, we tasted different, so.
Correct. Okay, so while we let this air out, I want to start this game we have.
I do like one thing I do like about this.
Yeah.
Is I think I like the wider glass. I've been drinking mostly from one like this.
Oh yeah, that's more of yeah. You the thing that's crazy is like the Glencairns. Those stupid things have like a tiny little bit, so you got to really tip back and you look kind of weird. But that's why I like this Bourbon Trail, because it's kind of a combination. You know, you've got
very nice.
That Glencairn feel.
So this came with a Scotch decanter set that was given to me. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does have a nice. It's nice on the nose.
It is very nice on the nose. Very nice. Now this did come recommended, by the way. One of the guys that we were touring with, he highly suggested that I try this bottle, which of course my first reaction was, it's Evan Williams.
Evan Williams? Exactly.
So,
I know.
All right. Shall we continue with the...
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into the topic of the top of the show. Top of the topic. Top of the topic. Here we go. This is a little supercut that I found and kind of put a couple things together just as a primer, perhaps.
Sounds like the publisher Center Street is going back on a couple of the details in the book.
Oh, I don't believe so.
Specifically, when you write in the book, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me. That, as I understand, is now being removed from the book at your request.
I should not have put that anecdote in the book, and at my request, they have...
Hold on just a second. You're a legal scholar. You don't have to be for this question. What is anecdote? What's the definition of an anecdote?
Isn't that just like a little short personal story?
Isn't it? Doesn't it have the implication of truth?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that an anecdote is a true thing that happened to me to prove a point.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, she just claimed, this is Kristi Noem, the governor of the great state of South Dakota, the state I live in. I have another podcast that I do called The Interview, theinterviewpodcast.org. Bad plug. But I had her on about a year and a half ago to talk during some election season. So she's been on one of my shows. I've interviewed her a couple different times. She is quickly becoming a politician.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's keep going.
I'm saying that I'm not talking about that meeting. I'm not talking about
go back slightly to hear her say, That anecdote shouldn't have been included.
Me. That, as I understand, is now being removed from the book at your request.
I should not have put that anecdote in the book, and at my request, they have
That
removed it.
specific meeting didn't happen?
I'm saying that I'm not talking about that meeting. I'm not talking about my meetings with world leaders.
But
there's some.
But I'll write about it in my book. I mean, never mind. I will tell my ghostwriter to write it in my book.
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on there. One, I think she was maybe a little surprised. I think somebody probably took some liberties with some of the things. I think she probably hadn't read it. That would be my guess.
This is untrue.
You think so?
Maybe she didn't comprehend it, but she voiced the audio version of that book.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So she did hear it.
At some point, she must have, right?
That's a good point.
It probably sounds cool. Yeah, I'll get them. I'll show them. They listen to this story.
Talk about meetings with world leaders.
There's some that are in the book, and then there's some that's not in the book.
But I'm not talking about it.
Question: did you or did you not meet with Kim Jong-un?
That's the answer that I have for you. Is that it will.
Yeah. No.
Did
no
you meet
answer
Kim
there.
Jong-un? Well, as soon as this was brought to my attention,
Now, keep in mind, these clips came from a stupid decision that was made to go on a book tour across all of the major networks. Last weekend, I believe it was. Today being May 11th.
Well, of course, because if you wrote a book, you got to sell it, right?
Yeah. So I reached out to a friend of mine in the political world and said, hey, who's paying for this show she's on? And the assumption is it's the publisher. It's covering the cost of getting her everywhere, which obviously they want to sell the book. So it's not like, they want to sell them. The problem is they're probably not going to sell them anymore. I don't know.
You think, or do you think people will buy them just to see the show?
Well, people are buying them because they want to actually read the stuff and see especially, I'll tell you what, this first run, because they couldn't fix the print run that was already in place.
So
it's buying this first run is
you need a first edition.
Oh man, I want one for that reason alone. I just don't want to buy it. I was at Costco a couple days ago, Sioux Falls. They're nowhere on their book table, which it absolutely should have been.
Right.
certainly made some changes and looked at this passage. And I've met with many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. As soon as it was brought to my attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is.
I can't believe that's the angle that they took. Whoever is advising her, I just cannot understand for the life of me why in the world they're like, you know what? You need to say that you meet with a lot of leaders and you've met with them for a long time. And so you just need to do that.
That's the best they could do to cover the lie.
Well, the best option would have been, holy crap, that was not supposed to be there. I didn't say that. I've never met with him. That's what she should have said. There's no reason to go down this road of I never talk about my meetings with world leaders.
Well, it's kind of hard to do when you claim to have written the book, though, right?
Yes. Well, in theory, now I don't know. I've never written a book. I've never used a ghostwriter, but do you does a ghostwriter just make crap up and then run it by you to see if it's real, or do you give them an outline?
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
It's weird.
It all seems a little goofy to me. You get somebody else to write your story. I'm not sure how that happens.
Right. Yeah. It's really, really odd.
I mean, I can see working with someone to, clean up your language or, fix punctuation, that kind of thing. But I don't know. That just seems weird to me. Ghostwriter.
Yes, it's very, very odd.
So one of the other things in there, I mean, to me, that's just, it's clearly she was caught in a lie. Clear that she was caught in a lie. And then she tried to, pivot out of it like politicians do. I mean, it's pretty common. I recently listened to Nikki Haley's book that she had written, and there was so many contradictions in there between what she said in her book versus what she was saying on the campaign trail.
Really?
And I think it's just what they do.
But see, I hate that. So why are we at that point in I guess, society in America where that is just an acceptable product. Like, you know what? Politicians are going to make crap up and they're just
I
going to
guess
say
it's the
whatever they want
same
to say to
reason
get
cheap
elected.
whiskey is still on the shelf.
No, cheap whiskey's on the shelf because people buy it and get drunk. That's why.
Well,
And they
we
don't want
buy
to
it,
buy
right? We
product.
buy it.
Well,
People buy that in mass.
so yeah, this is true. They do. They're trying to cover up something. No, I have a couple cheapo bottles. Sorry, going back to that. The Early Times Bottle and Bond is a great product, and it's cheap. The liter, I think, is like $18 or $20.
You know, a bottle does not have to be expensive to be pretty good.
No.
You know, other than the secondary market, a lot of the Buffalo Trace products are not expensive if you get them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not on a secondary market, not marked
Right.
up ridiculously. You know, they're
Right.
less than $30 for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So not too bad. But yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive. But of course, when you start talking about your bottles that are aged for several years, I mean, there's just a lot of cost involved with holding on to something for 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 years before you sell it.
Yeah. Well, there's like Louis Trey, the cognac. It's like $3,000 or $4,000 a bottle. I'm trying to find the details on that. But the claim is, the Remy Martin Louis Trey cognac. Online here, it's $5,000 per bottle. The claim is that there are elements within. Oh, brother, yes, I am old enough. I tried to put in like over 100 years old once, and they're like, "Oh, are you sure?" So that's funny. But the theory is, and I'm totally derailing here, but the idea of Louis Trey, first off, the glass bottle is like custom done. They're one-offs. It's weird. It's something you would see in like the Queen's Jubilee display. That's what it looks like. Actually, let me do this. I think I can show that screen since we're here on we're here live. Let's see which one. A window.
Oh no, not that screen.
Whoops. There we go. Sorry, I got to dump that real quick. All right. So this, like that bottle. That is the Louis cool. Trey. They're playing on sex, that's for sure. But the idea is that there are hundreds and hundreds of years worth of possible stuff that is in that. And so, oops, wow, I broke it. Where'd we go? There we go. Sorry. There's years and years and years of age, of history, and the longer a barrel, and you'll know this because you were just there, the longer a barrel sits in the rick house over time, I think that's what it's called, the more of the juice inside the bottle or the barrel that leaves. And so what do they call that? The angel's cut or something like that?
Right, sure.
So it's gone. So you end up with a whole barrel, or roughly when you start, by the time you go after years and years and years of aging, you may end up with half a barrel. Well, the input cost was there, the cost of managing all the legal side of it, all the taxes you pay on stuff that sits there on the shelf as it ages. There's a lot involved. And so the theory is you're paying $4,000 or $5,000 for this bottle of cognac, not because it's necessarily worth $4,000 or $5,000.
Right.
But because the history and the story behind it all. It's the same reason that Whole Foods sells chicken for, $59 a pound. Because that chicken was massaged every day and had a great life.
Until they cut its throat.
Hey, but it was happy up until the end. Let's keep on this crazy debacle that Kristi's going on.
No, go ahead. We haven't really.
Yeah.
So this almost has the smell.
So sweet.
Of a like one of those chewy caramels.
Chewy caramel? But you're right. It's very sweet on the nose.
Yeah, very much so. Like it smells like one of those soft, chewy caramel candies that you take 20 minutes to unwrap because they're stuck to it. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh. Yeah, and they
Kind of has that smell
stick
to
all
it.
over your uh-huh.
It's very.
It is surprisingly good on the nose. Like
It is.
that part is good. We'll see if it translates.
That's actually really good.
It's good. The sweetness doesn't quite come through.
It doesn't.
But
it's not
there
harsh
is,
at all.
No, it's really smooth, and maybe that's the proof, honestly. It could be that. But no, that is a very very smooth product. That's interesting.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that from just seeing an Evan Williams bottle. It makes me wonder why they would necessarily bottle that under that name, right? They've got a lot of options out there at Heaven.
Well, the back of the bottle. This bourbon was personally selected by our master distiller only.
Oh, yes.
After meeting his exacting standards for this vintage. Taken from a single barrel, it is the art of bourbon making at its finest. Bottled unblended with our barrels to preserve its individuality. So what I wonder, and I really should know more about the process of this, but to proof it down, you're mixing water in,
right?
I believe,
and
right?
There's two different ways of doing that. So, Victor's, I think, is one of the ones that does it a little differently in that they proof it down before they put it in a barrel.
Oh, so it ages at a lower proof.
Correct.
Huh.
Yes. And then, but yeah, that's exactly what they do. They proof it down by adding water.
Interesting.
But it is an interesting concept. I mean, I don't know whether it actually makes a difference in the long run or not in terms of the flavor of the whiskey, but if you add the water to it first, obviously that mixture is in there in the barrel and becomes a part of it. You know, doesn't really separate like you'd think it would as much in the after the fact.
This is pretty smooth. It's not terribly complex though, and that's possible because it's a single barrel. Maybe. But it's 9 years old, right? Yeah, the one I've got is 9.
Yeah, I think mine's about 8.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's not there doesn't seem to be a huge variety of flavors there.
Yeah.
But
definitely but on my end it's definitely worth it at $35 without doubt.
Oh, absolutely. It's I think that would be a good beginner whiskey.
I think so, especially because it doesn't punch you in the face and I think that's because of the proof.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's something that would be easy to just generally taste and doesn't fry your taste buds in the process. Yeah, some of these.
As soon as it was brought to my.
Oh, I was just going to say some of these, especially the lower end high proof whiskeys, man. It's like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, it's just totally. Hey, let's jack it up. Everclear. If you're going to do that, just go there.
Right.
Attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days, and that those edits will be in place, and that people will have the updated version.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un?
That's a good
question. What you're saying.
Oh, I don't.
No, I met with many world leaders. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that. This anecdote shouldn't have been in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I made sure that was adjusted.
South Dakota's Governor Kristi Noem is defending herself this morning over a controversial chapter in her forthcoming book where she describes killing her 14-month-old dog.
We haven't even got there yet.
Describes a section of Noem's book in which she recounted shooting her dog after deciding it was, quote, less than worthless and untrainable.
Many people.
She also said, there's some more with Stuart Varney, which is kind of funny. In the book, she also wrote, I hated that dog. Hello. I mean, okay.
I don't know. Look, everybody's watched Old Yeller and had a good cry when they had to shoot the dog. But I
There
think
was a meme of that with her. It was hilarious. It's like Kristi Noem watching Old Yeller and she's rolling her eyes.
That's great. I think anybody that's grown up around animals and having to deal with them, certainly just randomly killing an animal isn't something desirable. But there is a point where you have to put down certain animals, and it
Yeah.
just, for people to act like it's just unacceptable ever, like what do you do with an animal that's just completely unruly and can't be taken care of? Yeah, you could complain, oh, they should have trained him better, whatever. What a bunch of nonsense.
Well, and
To me,
it's true that, or you take the dog out of your hunting squad. I mean, if you can't make the dog a hunting dog,
well,
and I think it's right. There are
why do you keep feeding a dog that can't do what it's supposed to do? I mean,
well,
that's the
true.
problem. Is so many people have
Yeah.
dogs today for pets, but if you have a dog that's intended for a particular purpose, and he can't fulfill that purpose, it's kind of like firing an employee, right? You just get rid of them.
Wow. With a shotgun? Is that what we're doing here? No. Just kidding, everyone. That's not what we're talking about. No, see, I guess my bigger issue, I don't really see too many. Well, I do see, but I don't think the problem is people have dogs for pets. I think the problem is people have dogs for children. And that's the problem.
Dogs
And so
as
we have-
children or
Yeah,
for their
yeah.
children?
No. Sorry. As. Yeah. So they're puppy parents. Oh, dog
Right.
mom. No,
Right.
Nope.
You know,
You're
my
not a
wife
dog
was
mom.
actually making a comparison to that the other day. She said, people who say, "Oh, I have dogs, I don't have kids," and compare their relationship with their
Yeah.
dog to the way a person would have a relationship with a kid, especially your own kid. It's just nonsensical.
But this is exactly why this story has ruined her career.
And I
Because
think,
she
honestly,
underestimated the reality that Americans and a lot of Western civilizations have humanized dogs outrageously.
humanized. What's the other term for that? Anthropomorphized.
Ah, there you go. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is. I think that story is going to hurt her actually more than the Kim Jong-un one, which
Yes.
actually is more, I think, is a bigger blemish on her character than the dog story. To me, the dog story is whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think her point in that, right, is she's trying to demonstrate that she didn't pass on doing the hard thing.
Well, it was, but then I heard someone the other day make a claim that I kind of think is a valid claim, and it was the hard thing would have been to figure out how to train the dog or get the dog into someone else's hands. That would have been the hard thing. The easy decision was to take it out and shoot it. That was the easy way. And I think that's right. I do. I think it was the easy way out.
Let me give you an anecdote.
Now, is this true or is this one made up?
This is a true story. So my wife and I had not been married very long. And one of our neighbors had a dog that they'd had for quite a few years, and found the dog out in the back. It was full of tumors, just kind of laying out there, dying, I went in the house, got the pistol, walked out, shot the dog.
Murderer.
Right. My wife was so angry with me.
Really?
That I had shot that dog.
That's
and she was more upset that I just walked out and shot it unceremoniously, that I didn't have a conversation with it and
didn't just give it a snuggle before you did. Yeah,
that's right. So, I did the dog a favor. He needed it.
Well, and animal.
Right.
It's an animal.
That's right.
Like, to me, that is the underlying thing that has got to be reiterated.
Yeah, I'm not one who thinks cruelty to animals is an acceptable thing for people to do. Certainly not. But
no,
there are
at all.
certainly animals are not people, and the distinction definitely needs to be made, because it's not the same. It's not the same at all, and to equate those, I think, is a big problem. So, I guess to kind of bring this story full circle, I really think that the Kim Jong-un story is the bigger story, but I think the dog story is the one that hurts her more.
Yeah, listen to how she treats and reacts to Stuart Varney on Fox Business, which Stuart Varney, good old European chap, nice Brit, he's got a good voice. He sounds extremely intelligent. This is what she did to him.
While questioning your political future.
Well, I don't think you have the facts straight.
She called him a liar. She just called Stuart a liar.
Dangerous dog that was a working dog, and I had to make a choice between the safety of my children and an animal that was killing livestock and attacking people.
Was it a puppy?
No, it was an adult working dog. It was an adult working dog that was attacking livestock.
14 months old.
And killing livestock.
The dog was 14 months old.
It was a year and a half old, the dog was, yes.
Okay. Do you still think that you are in line to be Trump's vice president?
No, it's up to Donald Trump. He's the only person who will
So,
decide.
hang on a second. Who was she trying to say there? Because if you hear her, it's up to Donald Trump. She says a V word. I don't know Vladimir Zelensky. I don't know who she's talking about.
The safety of my children and an animal that was killing livestock and attacking people.
Was it a puppy?
No, it was an adult working dog. It was an adult working dog that was attacking livestock.
14 months old.
And killing livestock.
The dog was 14 months old.
It was a year and a half old, the dog was, yes.
Okay. Do you still think that you are in line to be Trump's vice president?
No, it's up to Donald.
See, it's up to Venezuela. I mean, that's what I think she's going.
I don't know.
It's up to who? One more.
I think that's
nothing,
probably
but...
just a stumble.
Shh.
Attacking livestock.
14 months old.
And killing livestock.
The dog was 14 months old.
It was a year and a half old, the dog was, yes.
Okay. Do you still think that you are in line to be Trump's vice president?
No, it's up to Donald Trump. He's the only person.
Sorry, anyway. Who could it be?
Who will decide this?
He's
the only person who will decide. And
somebody behind the curtain, I guess. No.
See, because
you know me, I'm not big on conspiracy theories, so I'll leave that to you.
Lewandowski. Who says the theory? Lewandowski. Or a conspiracy. Lewandowski is C, so that wouldn't work. Sorry.
Yes, I do speak to him.
May I ask?
Oh, this is the other thing. So now, okay. I'm not going to talk about my any interaction with world leaders. I have a lot of them. I've been doing public policy for 30 years. I have a lot of them. And then she goes on to say, I talk to Donald Trump all the time.
Line to be Trump's vice president.
No, it's up to Donald Trump. He's the only person who will decide this. He's the only person who will decide. And I do speak to him.
May I ask what he said to you about being
vice
president?
No, I never tell anybody my personal conversation.
Because I could do that. I talk to some very important people. I talk to them all the time. What do you say? Nothing. I'm not telling you that. Why would I tell you that?
I'm not sharing that with you. It's
not
politically advantageous for me to.
Right. So all of a sudden, what I did is I just discredited my entire story by saying, "Oh, I don't talk about that." Then why did you bring it up?
Did the dog story come up in your conversation with Trump?
I talk to President Trump all the time.
About the dog?
About a lot of things. And right now, I tell you what, he is being persecuted in a political hunt.
Okay, I thought she was selling a book. And now she easily, every time, even on Face the Nation, Brennan, I think, Margaret, whatever her name was pressing her. And she instantly went to, well, you guys don't confront Biden because he's horrible. Donald Trump is getting abused by the legal system. She just jumps to Donald Trump. Sorry, lady, you're not going to be the vice president.
In this court case, so.
Yes.
Who do you think's in line for that? Obviously, I think probably prior to this, she was a pretty good bet on that.
That was all the speculation in the local South Dakota Republican people. But there's no way in the world. First off, he would have been a fool to pick her anyway. She is Sarah Palin 2.0.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that.
25 seconds left of this.
I'm proud of him about how tough he is and how well he is.
Just listen to how she treats him because he's pressing her. First off, she's not answering anything.
She's campaigning for a position with
totally,
him.
But she's doing it on a lie, trying to obfuscate a lie. Like, nah, don't worry about that. It's fine.
Right.
20 seconds.
Doing.
Did you bring up the
Yes,
dog?
enough, Stuart.
Did you
This
bring
interview
up the dog
is
with Trump?
ridiculous, what you were doing right now.
I don't
So
think
you
so.
need to stop. It is.
Okay.
It is.
We'll
Let's
stop.
talk about some real topics that Americans care about.
I'm afraid we're out of time.
Oh, well, of course we are.
We do thank you for being with us. I know I pressed hard, but that's what people are talking about to this day.
Yeah.
Gotta know?
Yeah, she just was so irritated. And the video is hilarious.
Well, she's coasted on her looks for so long, and she's tried in this book to make herself more important than she actually is.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I have had the opportunity over the last 10 years to photograph her twice. Once she was here for an interview, so I photographed her then, and then I interviewed her when she was a representative down at her office in Watertown in 2014. I just want you and those watching to tell me this is the same person. Now, I know it is, because tell me this is the same person. So, eight years, I believe, apart.
Are you saying she's had some work done?
So, for anybody to think that Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, has not tried to change her appearance for some reason, are just lying or blind or something. There obviously is.
How old is she? What's her?
52, I believe.
Yeah. Well, that would explain it.
But anyway.
Well, I mean, here's the reality. Whether people like it or not, there is a very small window for women in politics. Typically, I mean, you got your Nancy Pelosi's and your Dianne Feinsteins that get in and sit there forever. But in order to run on the political stage and get there, they do have a very small window of time in order to do that, because once a woman starts looking older, she's often dismissed.
That's fascinating. Back when Obama beat Hillary, I think that was 2008. It was interesting because I think it was Rush Limbaugh that mentioned it at the time. He said Hillary isn't going to win, or a version of this. I don't know if it's a direct quote. She won't win because nobody wants to watch a woman age in American politics at that level. Now, as Obama aged, when he went in, he was a little boy, and when he came out, he was gray hair, and you could tell that the office and whatever happened over those 8 years aged him greatly. Now, most guys it's assumed that guys age gracefully, and so you look more distinguished with gray hair and all the things. Our society doesn't want to watch a woman do that, and I think you're exactly right. And maybe that's why Hillary hasn't ever been able to do it, because by the time Trump got around, she was already too old, and no one wanted that.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, Nikki Haley, everyone that's come on the stage. Why did John McCain pick Sarah Palin? Not because she was a wizard, I'll tell you that. Sorry, it's terrible.
Right. Well, yeah, it's the truth of it. It is. So I guess in one sense, somebody trying to make themselves look as young and as attractive as they can in the world that she operates in, that's probably what you have to do.
It's sad though, and if that is a real commentary on American politics, that is unfortunate.
It may be unfortunate, but I think it's true. I think.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, so often we don't want to say the thing that's true because it's uncomfortable, but that's the reality of it.
It's crazy. So I am part of a Facebook group just simply because I think it's fascinating to see people who have blind rage towards someone. And there's a lot of them when it comes to anything Donald Trump. I mean, you will find people that they aren't sane. They don't have rational thinking. They just, Orange Man bad. That's all they care about. It's called Stupid Stuff, brought to you by Kristi Noem. And I've been a part of this group for years because it's fascinating to me that these people are so, what seems to be enamored with her. Because all they can do is talk about her and how horrible she is. The it's nuts. There's just, I'm sorry, I feel horrible. I should have this. They're just mocking her. And the memes are hilarious. Cricket is a real American hero. Kristi Noem is a Botox bimbo. I mean, there you go. These are the brilliance in this page. I'm trying to get back to when it was.
That was that remark was just super over the top intelligent. I feel smarter for having heard it.
Yes, I'm glad. Yep. There's now a petition. Apparently, this is real. This is.
And contorting to an online petition, over 23,000 people are calling for Governor Noem to resign. The Move On petition, citing her, quote, animal cruelty, extremist agenda, and anti-abortion policies as reasons why she should step down.
So I also, hold on one second, this is being stupid. Hello, what's going on? The other thing that I find so fascinating, oh geez, what's wrong with this thing? I find so fascinating with the push against her is, last night I was looking around some YouTube people commenting on this, and one guy said she should be thrown in jail for murdering that dog, whatever. And then they're like, and this proves that she hates LGBTQ and she hates the native tribes and she hates all this proves that she's so horrible and that, you know, she's bad. Now there are, I think, 6 more native tribes that are planning to ban her from coming on their land.
Apparently there's been hilarious. Like 4 of them that have, which whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because
which is funny.
Well, and so I don't know the truth of it. So the reason they're wanting to ban her is because she's saying that they're working with the cartel on the reservation, which I don't know whether that's true or not. It may very well be true.
Not. Right. They claim it's not. But it's also hilarious. I think it was the week after one of the tribes came out with this big press release ban. Kristi Noem's not welcome on our land. They had wildfires and they had to call the state to come help them fight their wildfire. And the state fixed their wildfire. And it was kind of humorous because Ian Fury is Kristi Noem's comm director. He used to be Jim Jordan, so he came to her from Jim Jordan. He's an attack dog. He's kind of a jerk. It's been very difficult to get through him to get to her. But she tweeted out, I think at that point, just some totally passive-aggressive tweet. Oh, I'm so glad after the tribe asked us to come in and help them that we were able to get that fire turned off or whatever. You know, the whole totally patronizing. Like, oh, it's so good that they asked us to come in and save the day right after they had banned her from coming on their land.
Awesome.
So special, yeah. So anyway, I think Kristi Noem is done in politics, at least for a while. I'm not sure how she recovers fully from this because...
You guys don't have term limits there, do you?
Yes, she's done.
Gotcha.
All across the board, there are term limits, which I appreciate. So she's done in 26. I do think if you take a term off, if I remember right, you can go back. So it's not endless. You know, you're not done. You just have to step aside, let someone else get in there.
Sure.
So 2 terms. So she will have been 8 years as governor, and she's done in 26. But the hope was that she would be resigning in 24 because she would be the vice presidential candidate.
Right. She's got to move on to something else.
Yeah. There's also talk that I read a little story that there is a chance that she would resign her governorship. And this, of course, was before this all blew up, to go have some executive position with the NRA. Don't know what in the world executive experience she really has, but I mean, she's been governor, but I don't know what that means. The other thing that I heard about yesterday, there was a local news, I think in Sioux Falls, some news people that were saying, hey, Kristi Noem says she's been, on all these hits she did around in New York with all these big cable network. She kept saying, I've been in public law making for 30 years, blah, 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 public policy. She's 52. So that puts her at 24? It's 30 years? No, 22. I think it was 17 years ago, she ran for House. And then she was in the state house for a while, and then she was our state representative, or in the U.S. House of Representatives was she there 2 terms, so 4 years, I think. And then she became governor. So 30 years. First off, she hasn't done that. Like, that's another fabrication, or at least it's a
stretch,
embellishment. Yeah. Of something. So I don't know what she's talking about, unless maybe she went to some school board meetings or she attended some city council meetings at one point in Castlewood, South Dakota, which is about this big, where she lives currently. I don't know. It's just, it feels like to me that Kristi Noem thinks she has to be a bombastic liar like Trump. That's what it feels like.
Could be.
She ain't good at it.
I think
Donald is good. She's not.
Yeah, no, I think it really is a problem for folks that they've got to oversell themselves.
Yeah.
Or recently was on a trip with a colleague of mine, and we were meeting with some clients, and after we left, I said, hey man, we had another meeting. I said, is it cool if we go by the hotel? I need to take a shower. And he's like, what? I'm like, man, the BS in that session was it was so deep. I feel like I need a shower. I mean, this is what I told him. I said, that guy is so full of it. He makes Trump seem humble. It was shocking how ridiculous some people get. So I don't know. That's not my thing. I mean, pumping up who you are and what you've done for political gain. I guess it works for some people. It worked for Biden. I mean, he's been doing it for 100 years.
Well,
and I'm not even exaggerating.
Life, really. Right. Yeah, no joke. Not a joke.
This is not a joke.
So
I'm not joking,
when he
man.
says that, he's lying.
That's right.
Like, that's a total tell. I listened earlier today. I was listening to the latest No Agenda podcast, and they played the old clip of him explaining when he had the top of his head taken off twice. And he's going through this whole anecdote. Well, we assume it's true. Maybe it's not. This whole thing. And the whole time he's saying, oh, I'm just kidding. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. Oh, this is not a joke. It's a true story. I promise you, this really happened. The dude has a problem.
Oh, very much so. Always has. He's always been a liar. I mean, he's been.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why he didn't he have to back out of running for president back in the
because he was caught
70s, 80s?
Just whole cloth stealing someone else's story. He's been part of the.
He was a professor too.
Every ethnic group. He was raised by them, and attended their churches, and it's unreal.
The best one I heard is early on in his political career. He said, I don't know anything about the Hispanic populations. I don't know anything about that. And then now he's like, I was raised in the Puerto Rican community.
That's right.
Which is it?
Well, speaking of
Joe.
National politics,
mm-hmm.
I think this is an area where we might part ways a little bit.
Mm.
Funds for Ukraine.
Horse crap. First off, we're not funding Ukraine. And I think that has to be clarified every chance we get.
Okay. Let's
that
hear it.
Money doesn't go to Ukraine. Now, yes, we're shipping them arms to go out and try to get Putin, which I don't like.
You don't like
the
that?
money? No, because here's why. If we want to get Putin, let's go get him.
Nah.
We will go get him. I don't want to send some stupid actor to try to go get him. He's killing his own people. That's not what we're going to do. It's not useful.
Oh, it's absolutely useful. It's completely useful.
Using Volodymyr as our
Sure.
whipping
Look at
boy.
the resources. Look at the resources that Russia is expending trying to take Ukraine. First of all, we better learn a lesson that anytime communist dictators try to expand their hold, they're not going to stop. Hitler didn't stop. Russia has never stopped trying to expand.
You're gonna pull
China
in
doesn't
Hitler.
stop. I'm saying all of them. They don't stop. If you don't stand up to them, they don't stop. You can't. A bully will continue to bully until they get hit in the face hard enough that they have to back down.
We're not doing that though. We're not hitting him hard enough.
No, we kind of are though.
No. Ukraine is not winning at
Doesn't
all.
matter. It doesn't matter. They don't need to win.
They just need to. So we're okay with literally throwing the Ukrainian people to the wolves. For
No,
what gain?
we're okay giving them our outdated weapons so we can update ours so that they can fight with Russia.
That's what we're doing. And it's horrible. So the
It's-
only winner in this stupid
we win.
defense
We win.
bill
We absolutely win.
is the defense industry. That's it. They're the winners. Now, of course, we get to use that stuff.
Well, wait a minute. I know that's like a dirty word, and especially, Tulsi Gabbard has really pushed that whole narrative as well, the military industrial complex, and they love to go back to that speech.
Wasn't it Eisenhower that did it? Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal.
General Eisenhower.
That is not bad for America. Spending money and building things in America is not a bad thing for Americans.
No, but funding the death of people that aren't like us might be.
It doesn't have anything to do with them being like us or not like us. If they're they're fighting a battle over there, I think there's an ideological battle that's taking place, and there's certainly a fight for land. I don't think Russia is going to take Ukraine. I don't think we'll allow that to happen.
If they were going to, they would have. I think what this kind of illuminates is that taking Ukraine was not their goal.
Well, it's certainly their stated goal.
No, getting the Donbass region, allowing the people in that to unify with Russia, which is what they wanted to do to begin with, and they weren't allowed to.
Yeah, that may be questionable.
Well, all this is questionable. Everything about it, because I don't know. All I'm listening to is what the media tells me and what our dumb government tells us, which we've seen time and time again, that both of those things can be inaccurate.
So Putin has just recently been overwhelmingly reelected, right?
Of course he has.
But
didn't Zelensky get overwhelmingly reelected as well?
What is that? I don't think there's been an election there, right? There's been no election
that's right, because they've stopped the election.
There's no elections there.
Of course not.
But wait a minute. Let's talk about that. So whenever you have a dictator like Putin, I don't know why the right has suddenly fallen in love with Putin. He is still an evil dictator.
Hold on. No, hold on.
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying on the right, there's a lot of people that tend to think that he's.
This is what fascinates me. I don't understand why being averse to funding Ukraine's whatever they're doing makes you a Putin lover. I don't understand that.
No, I'm not saying.
Explain that to me.
There's certainly been there's been a number of people who've kind of expressed admiration for Putin.
Talking about Tucker?
I don't find Tucker, what a clown he's become.
Why? Why do you think so? Because he's not saying the official narrative anymore?
Because he's a useful
Does that make
idiot.
him a clown?
What kind of freaking moron goes to a place, he goes in their grocery store, becomes propaganda for a foreign country because he's too stupid to understand economics? The reason he was able to buy all those groceries for next to nothing is because of the dollar's power against the ruble there. So he just looks like an idiot. That was stupid.
I don't know.
And meanwhile, he's slobbering all over Putin. I mean, he made an idiot of himself. I don't
know. It's working. Anyway.
Working where?
Amongst the population.
I don't know. I think he's kind of fallen off. He doesn't have the platform he once did.
No, but he is still a powerhouse and on the right. I don't know. I don't watch his show, so it's not like I can really say I don't watch him. But and anyway, I have not been sold a compelling argument for us to be propping up Zelensky.
So what is the cost to us?
Well, 100 billion. How many billions so far?
Okay, so
which
let's
again,
let's talk about
money
that in real
doesn't.
Numbers.
But money is what could be done with that money.
How many countries, in terms of GDP, how many countries do you think are ahead of us in funding the Ukraine?
None. Other than Germany, I don't know. Probably not ahead of us.
18.
18? Okay, by how much?
Are
we all even?
So, I'm saying in terms of the percentage of our GDP.
You're not talking dollars.
Well, it's
dollars
relative to what you have to spend.
But is that a fair
I think
comparison?
It can be. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is.
Because if 10% of my GDP is $50 million, but 10% of another GDP is $5 million, that is not the same.
Well, but it's
impact.
It shows a level of commitment, though, right?
I don't know. Is it commitment? See, that this whole thing is propaganda. We are being sold something.
So wait a minute. So we are giving them somewhere around less than 0.5% of our GDP, and that is in outdated weapons that we're replacing.
I just at this point I can't believe that they're outdated.
Well,
now maybe the first tranche was, but I can't believe that at this point we have so much outdated weaponry that we still have $100 billion to ship
outdated weaponry. We have plenty.
Yeah, but that's useless to us. This
I don't
is like
know that
a
it's
total
useless,
sales job.
But even so, even if it weren't, I still think there's value in opposing a dictator. Do not allow a dictator to continue to roll.
Then
and I think
stop him.
Here's what's going to.
But that's my thing. Then stop him. We're not stopping him.
Global politics is not always that easy, right?
Well, of course, that's what
do we want to
be?
Would we rather be funding Ukraine and fighting a battle with a proxy, or would we rather have how long would we be willing to stomach it if we have U.S. troops coming home in caskets?
A whole lot shorter.
A whole lot shorter.
Mm-hmm.
If it needed to be done, I think we're more comfortable with Ukrainians coming home in a casket.
I think it kind of falls. Well, of course we are, because there's not us. They're not humans over there, and I think that's the issue with the entire Middle East. Is we, as Western citizens, Western civilization, we don't see those people as human. We see them as some sort of sand animal, and that's. I mean, I don't, but I'm saying as a society, we think, oh, they're brown, they live in the. Oh, we don't know about them. As long as we don't see it, that's why I think it's fascinating when we get to see atrocities around the world on video. And the fact that everyone has a cell phone in their pocket now around the world is revolutionizing the impact and the
unless you you have the cell phone, but if you live in a place like China or Russia, you're restricted on what you can see and what you can send out. So we're gonna China has just they have a complete lockdown on that. So
okay.
The information gets neither in nor out there, right?
Well, it can. There are VPNs that work. Maybe. I had a friend of mine was a intern over there for almost a year, and couldn't use the typical methods to get out. But VPNs open the door wide open. I was in Uganda 2 months ago. It is illegal to get on Facebook in Uganda until you turn your VPN on, and then all of a sudden you're in Johannesburg, South Africa, and it's fine. It's wide open. Everyone there has a Facebook account, but it's illegal. It's blocked. Now, China might be more sophisticated, but I mean, it wasn't enough to stop my friend when he was there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like us and TikTok. This stupid idea that we're going to write a law to try to force a sale of an international company to an American company. What in the world are we doing as a government if that's what we think is acceptable?
Make a case for it, because I don't see your problem here. So do you have a problem with telling communist China you cannot buy property around our military bases?
I guess I don't know if I have a problem with saying anyone that's not an American citizen that you can't buy property within America.
You don't have a problem with anybody buying? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying if you're not an American citizen, I don't think you should be allowed to buy American soil.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. So you have a problem with communist China purchasing land around our military bases?
I have a problem with non-American citizens purchasing land in America.
Answer.
No, you're right. Yes. Okay, if we're going to say yes, China falls in that category. So absolutely.
All right, but you do have a problem with saying your spyware that you have marketed geniusly.
Prove that though.
Oh, no, that is not even questionable. That's not even questionable at this point. Yeah, you realize when you're using TikTok, your camera is on.
I'm not using TikTok. Do you realize when you use Instagram, TikTok, do you realize when you use Facebook, the same product happens?
I'm not sure that it's the same.
It's almost, they're all tracking the data you can collect from being inside Instagram. If you have a commercial account, you can see stuff, and that's just the stuff they give to you, like that they're going to allow you as a corporate account. It's terrifying, the stuff you can do when you get into the API of these apps, and the devices of what you can do. It is insane the amount of data.
So here's what I'm going to say. The bottom line for me is that, and yeah, I agree. There is something in it, and it does make you want to stay off of a lot of the social media sites, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's just so much of your life that you're giving away at that point. In fact, I was mentioning to my wife, she was purchasing a gift card for her mother for Mother's Day, and within 10 minutes, I'm getting ads on my phone for that
gift card.
for that gift card that I mean, I wasn't purchasing it. It wasn't linked to any of my personal stuff, but now they're pushing that because, hey, you've looked at this. But anyway,
it's all proximity. It's proximity devices, so they get to look at other IP addresses that are near you or on the same network as you, or in some sort of geo proximity.
So I
and
think
then they'll send that to you.
So I think
it happens all over. So for us to say TikTok, you're bad, and
you
have to sell
I think we
to
can say that. I do think we can say that.
My issue is we're saying to them, you have to sell to an American company,
or banned.
You're banned.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. The reason I don't have a problem with that is because they don't have rights. They're not American citizens that have rights in America to speech or any of that. And we're not cutting off anybody's speech at this point. What we're saying is your program is designed and built to be a security threat, and we're not going to tolerate it. That's a fair thing to say. That's a reasonable thing to say.
I think if we say that, we have to say that about every other social platform that's out there.
No, because every other social platform out there isn't sharing everything with the communist China, right? The CCP. It's basically
I still think you have to lay out the evidence of that they're actually doing that, and that it's different.
Oh, they clearly have. Have you watched the hearings on that?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Not exhaustively, no.
I think it's pretty clear. I mean, they did the same thing with the Huawei stuff, and everything. Everybody was pretty clear about that. That we can't have communist China putting in cell towers around our military base and giving the giving Huawei products to people for free so that they can continue to spy on us.
Well, that they actually found hardware inside those devices.
Sure.
Specifically for that purpose.
Right. So they've just become a little sneakier. Now they're going to use our hardware to do it.
So is it somewhat telling about the potential what's going on as to why we had to try to get this TikTok ban? Now they're suing the U.S. government, which I think is fascinating. When at least one Republican House of Representatives member, a week prior to voting to kick out TikTok, bought a bunch of Meta stock, like $200,000 or $300,000 worth.
More than that, actually. I think all
was it more?
That was his first purchase. I think he actually made several purchases. So, no, I get that. There's certainly some opportunism there. But
of course, but it sure looks like this is a way to remove competition.
You're saying
our
buy
apps.
some Meta stock. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not a financial advisor. You talk to your investment counsel to get that done.
No, man. I think it's fine. I think banning serious security risks like that is.
But ban it then. Ban it. Don't
say
sell to an American company.
No, that's their options, right? You can sell it. You can sell it, or you can get axed. But hey, we got one other topic we wanted to hit today.
Wait. I'm looking up one thing. Hold on.
You're looking up one thing. All right, look it up.
Is that it? Is it J Johnson?
You're looking up how much Meta stock was purchased?
No. There was a guy, and I cannot remember. I thought it was J Johnson, who was Secretary of was he the Secretary of Defense for Obama? No, Secretary of Department of Homeland Security under Obama, I believe. I'm almost positive it's him. Can be proven wrong. But it's someone of his ilk. Is trying to put a bid to buy them before they put this ban in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I want that because I can make it."
Do keep in mind that this was both a bipartisan bill.
I don't care about that anymore. It's not bipartisan.
Hold on. And both houses of the Senate and the House, as well as the White House, are on the same page on something. You might want to pause and take a look.
Or that may be a time to say, no.
Nah.
Because when they come together, is it ever good?
I don't think it's
when two
horribly
opposed.
You look who's opposing it though. Look at who's opposing it.
Massey. I like Thomas Massey.
He may be one of the few that actually is opposing it on principle, but
well, all of his arguments that I've heard, and I can't recite them, but all the ones I've heard him say are compelling. And the other side of it is fear mongering.
I don't think so, man.
I'm tired of that.
I'm
sick and tired of being controlled by fear.
There's a certain amount of fear mongering, but I don't think. I think the U.S. is better off with a banned TikTok anyway.
I'm not going to disagree that TikTok shouldn't exist. I'll tell you what. It's terrible. But part of the issue is TikTok gives you what you want. That's all it is.
It could. Yeah.
They give you what you want. They track the crap out of you. Of course they do. Just like Instagram. If you go through your reels on Instagram or the shorts on YouTube or whatever they call it on Facebook or any of that.
You know what? I have an Instagram account because my wife signed me up for it because
I know I sent you something there. You never ever respond.
So they don't do a lot of tracking of me because I don't ever get on there.
That's good. Yes. So no, I'm not at all saying TikTok is wonderful, but I'm also not saying Instagram is wonderful. I'm saying the fact that we are addicted to these things is a problem. Now, TikTok is killing everybody in the industry. In the advertising market.
Sure.
They're killing them. So if you just strictly look at the dollars that are being shipped to TikTok and not shipped to YouTube or not shipped to Instagram, it is not even close. And
there is some speculation on that as well, that's a bit of a pump up too, like Twitter did with all their fake followers.
They're still getting the dollars. Like they're still attracting the money from the advertisers. So something's working.
Right.
And most of what I've also noticed, most of Instagram's Reel system, it's just repurposed TikTok. It even has the TikTok branding on it, for crying out loud. So TikTok is destroying these other apps. And so it certainly looks like, well, crap, we can't beat them. Let's just take their product. And then we're going to convince Congress that we need to take their product because it's not nice. They're taking our money. It's the reason the news media hates Donald Trump, because he beat them at their news advertising game in 2016.
Don't forget, he wanted to ban TikTok before he left office as well.
I didn't say he was the right guy. Because you're right, he did, and it's stupid. It's the dumbest thing in the world. If we can't make something better, make something better.
It's not about it being. It's not about it being better. It's about it's got a hidden purpose behind it.
So what's the enforcement? I just don't believe that. What's the enforcement? Also, if they ban it, how are you going to stop 150 million people or whatever from?
I don't know what that looks like.
From working around it. And I asked the question because I can get on Facebook in 13 seconds in Uganda where it's banned.
Yeah,
it's kicked out of that country.
I think if you make it difficult to get to, I think it suddenly loses its appeal. That's part of the.
It might if it wasn't so ubiquitous, honestly, but it is everywhere. All right, that's a dead horse. Kristi Noem, you don't have to shoot it. We got it taken care of. What was your the last step? Cops killing people?
Oh yes, let's look at this. So you're not familiar with this story. Let me set this up. And for those who are sensitive to live feeds,
I'm just gonna see if I can. Go ahead and set it up. I'm going to see if I can.
So what we know at this point is that there was a young airman in his apartment, apparently on FaceTime with his girlfriend. From his perspective, this is the kind of the way that it's being presented from his perspective. He's on FaceTime with his girlfriend. There's somebody beating on the door. They announce themselves as cops. He answers the door with a pistol in his hand at his side. Clearly within his rights to do so. And then you'll see that their reaction is to shoot him and then tell him to drop the gun.
Now this is from,
so they
just so you're aware, this is MSN.com. This is a Microsoft news product, so this isn't some crazy website somewhere else. Am I playing that?
Yeah. Just hold up 1 second.
Yeah.
So from the police's
oh shoot, sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go.
From the sheriff's perspective, they're showing up for a disturbance. There seems to be some controversy about whether they went to the wrong apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's becoming clear that was the apartment that was identified. Regardless of whether it was the wrong apartment or not, the reaction by the police department is just egregious in this situation. So anyway, that's...
You mean their defense of the police officer's actions?
I'm not even sure anybody's defending them at this point.
Okay, let's watch this. 55 seconds. It's not terribly long.
So this is the body cam from...
Are they fighting or something?
He's saying that it happens frequently.
Okay.
But this time it sounded like it was getting out of hand.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun! It's over there. Drop the gun! I don't have it. 312, shots fired. Suspect down. Do not move!
You just shot him.
312, get EMS my location.
That's rough.
Where was the threat?
The only threat that
was the visibility of a gun.
The visibility of a gun, which he certainly had the right to have.
Inside his personal property? I agree.
Right. Well, I mean, you're hitting the door, you're beating on the door and yelling, open up. Well, first of all, I don't have an obligation to open to you, number one.
Well, and just because you're yelling that you're the sheriff doesn't prove anything.
Right. The other part of that, I mean, I guess you don't know, right? But if you truly believed it was the sheriff at the door, probably answering the door with a gun in your hand is not the best move. It's not the smartest move. Was he certainly within his rights to do that? Absolutely.
The guy or the cop?
The guy answering the door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But to be armed at the door.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly there was no threat. Now, from the other side of that, how long does it take to go from having a gun at your side to firing it? I mean, it appears that the cop actually drew his weapon and fired during that time.
Right. Yeah.
But it can happen quite quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, half a second time. That's
right.
That is a reaction time you have to consider. And that's where training really comes in handy. But the issue that I see in this, and retrospect is always, hindsight's always 20/20. It did not appear for a second that guy's hand moved.
No, it doesn't.
Before the cop shot him.
It does not appear that he's a threat in my estimation of it. However,
it looked like the cop opened the door, sees the guy with a gun, and just shoots him.
Right.
And inside his house.
What we don't have, we don't have the information he has leading up. So we get a little bit of it from the lady outside that's basically saying that there's constant fighting coming from that apartment, hearing this all the time. So he's expecting, this cop is expecting a hostile situation. And the guy opens the door with a gun. I think, contrary to what most people I think are going to fall down on one side or the other of this. I think this really and truly is a very unfortunate circumstance. It's one of those things that it's horrible that it happened, but I'm not sure you can completely fix it. You can't amp somebody up, put them in a position where they're expected to put their life on the line constantly and where they constantly have to be vigilant against that threat, and then never expect them to make an error in judgment.
But their errors have a
absolutely
extremely great cost.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, at that point, I know a friend of mine was an Army Ranger sniper, and he said they had to go through evals all the time. He said the minute that any of those guys were evaluated and they started enjoying their job, they pulled them.
No, it's understandable. No, I think this is a horrible circumstance. Obviously, this is another situation where you have a white cop shooting a black citizen, airman in this case.
Which, I mean, there's no way to know that. So, I mean, it is a true fact, but that I
don't know that plays into
shouldn't come into play. I hope not, because as sucky as it is, I mean, the implication is if you're in the armed forces, you are loyal to the country and you're a rule follower. That is the implication. And so
here,
by saying that, the implication is, he was a good guy, and we know he's a good guy because he was this.
Yeah, right. No, but certainly, I don't think there's any indication. We're not talking about someone with This isn't the situation where you have a career criminal who, after 35 altercations with the police,
right, gets shot.
That's not the situation here at all. So quite disturbing.
So
and very sad.
does this like two trains of thought. I guess I'll throw them both at you, and you can decide which one you're going to touch on. The first one is, at what point is that guy? Are we allowed to protect our private property? Against intrusion. So I think that's something you should talk about.
I mean, he's in Florida, so he certainly has a stand your ground.
Absolutely, yeah. So what it looked like is the cop outside shot inside to his private property and killed the guy unprovoked. It is what that 55 seconds looked like. Now, I understand there's more to the story, but the other question is, you say you amp up these kids, and I'll say kids because most beat cops are, under 50, I would presume, or younger.
Everyone under 50 is a kid
20,
now. 30. That's great.
Hey, I'm almost there, so I'm still a kid. I'm trying to call myself a kid. You're not, by the way. But, and so does that, we amp them up, we give them a badge, we give them a gun and say, go out and serve and protect. We also give them the understanding that they are to be obeyed at all cost because they have a gun and because they have a badge. So is it fair to say that the militarization of our policing forces has ruined what policing is supposed to be?
I don't think the militarization, I think that's a term that has become popular that I don't know that I necessarily like it. I think if you're going to have someone who serves the community in a protection manner, they need to be well armed. I'm not in favor of disarming police or putting them at a disadvantage to the criminals out there. I think that's a bad idea.
But here's why I kind of said that. Because if I'm in a military engagement, my assumption is the bulk of the people on the other side are trying to kill me.
Right. So
right now, the police are taught that everyone they encounter is trying to kill them. So make sure you don't get killed.
Maybe. I think so. I think the philosophy is the problem. So I think first of all, whenever you see these authoritarian police officers, and I'm not saying that this guy was, I don't know. I don't have any of his background.
Right. Yeah.
You see these guys that roll up on somebody and demand that they do this or do that. Why are you asking me to do this? And they become hostile because you question them. You don't question me, you do what I tell you. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And I think that attitude is a real problem. And you have to remove those kind of people from the force because that's just not good. And I think the other part of that is I think because police officers are often only involved with the negative that goes on with society.
Are they jaded?
Yeah, I think you can become pretty jaded, right? Okay. So I think some of the things, one of the things that we've done here in our community is there's one, we probably should do it more actually, but one time a year we actually do a barbecue in our community, and we invite out all the first responders, and they come and they eat and they hang out with the people of the community in a positive environment.
And what is that's an environment that they are not, they're not on duty. They're not.
They are on duty. Actually, they actually come.
Oh, you bring them in. Okay.
Yeah, they do, and they come in and they eat. They hang out with the people for a while, and get to know the people of the community.
Okay.
And I think maybe more events like that are probably necessary to help reduce the idea that everybody that they deal with is a criminal.
Okay. That would be very useful.
I think so. I think so. And of course, I think proper training is a huge factor. I mean, whatever training that guy did or didn't have, it's really hard to try to justify what he did.
Yeah, the speed in which he reacted with deadly force.
Right.
When it didn't appear that he was actually threatened, because he was outside the door. He could have stepped aside if the guy pulled his gun. I mean, really. There are things he could have done.
Or he could have, I mean, obviously he pulled his gun and aimed it and the guy never moved. You didn't have to pull a trigger at that point, right?
Right.
I mean, you could certainly ask him to put his gun down. And then of course, if somebody makes a move in a direction that seems threatening, you're going to fire. You're going to protect yourself. I don't think cops should never protect themselves. And I don't think they should wait until somebody else is throwing lead at them to fire. But it does seem in this situation from what you can see, and obviously sometimes there's other things that come out and, whatever, but the perspective that I have from that video is this guy is way overzealous in his use of deadly force and unjustified in doing it.
So, in your estimation, does that remove does that preclude him from ever being an officer again?
I think so.
I certainly do too, because it absolutely shows a lack of ability for self-control. And if he shot because he got scared, holy crap, that guy's got a gun. What do I do? That's the wrong mindset. You can't have that mindset. You got to have
I think the other
steel.
side of that is I don't like the idea of putting people in these situations and then putting them in prison for making a bad decision.
Like the Chauvin case in Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree. There's got to be some, different story, but there's got to be some understanding of the responsibility we're putting on these cops. But at the same time, they have to understand that consequences are real, because when you make a mistake and kill someone because you just made the wrong choice,
right.
I know it wasn't because it shouldn't be because you were a bad guy. But unfortunately, that's a consequence that has lifelong ramifications. Because clearly, you took someone's life. You took, who knows? You don't know anything about that guy, and you took it because you made a rash, quick judgment.
Right.
And a court really, or whatever the investigation needs to be, is going to be the one that determines some of that. But publicly, from from the citizen side, I don't want that kind of person who's that trigger happy on the force.
Absolutely.
It's unsafe.
Yeah. So very, very unfortunate.
Way to end on a crappy note. Good
Yeah.
work.
No, my heart definitely goes out to the family of that.
It's horrible.
That airman,
yeah. Absolutely.
Who appeared to have done. I mean, again, I'm hedging my bets a little bit because sometimes other stuff comes out, but appears that he was completely innocent of any wrongdoing, and just the overzealous response of the police department, and now he's deceased.
Right. Yeah.
What a horrible situation.
Yes.
I think
without doubt.
Yeah, and I think we're looking at being together for our next episode.
In a week and 2 days.
Yes, sir.
Buckle up.
I think we got we'll have something interesting and different to try, I think.
And we'll talk a lot more in detail on your distillery experiences, when your tours you did. But you went to Heaven Hill.
Yes.
Buffalo Trace and Michter's. You went to Michter's too, right?
Michter's, yes. And
what was the other?
Woodford. Woodford, yes. It's good that you remembered.
And it'll be fun because I heard a little bit about your opinions of them all. So I think that'll be cool to dig into. So next time we will explore some of the distilleries in the Louisville. How close to Louisville?
How close am I?
No. Where were you? Hour and a half range. How far were you?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the stuff is about 45 minutes outside of Louisville.
Okay.
So Michter's, they have a distillery downtown. So it's in Louisville.
Sweet.
The others were all outside of town.
Gotcha. Well, we did get to enjoy the Evan Williams single barrel vintage.
And was surprisingly good.
Yeah,
it's from what I expected. I mean, it did
Yes.
exceed expectation.
It is most definitely, as they say, definitely, worth having on the shelf. So if you can find one, I would recommend picking it up.
Absolutely.
It is a good, and the end is nice too. I mean, the finish is good. I get that. Now this was our first. It does have a little bitterness, which I like because I'm not a beer guy, but if I'm out at a brewery or something, I want a really bitter IPA. That's kind of my preference. And this I know you don't like that, but this has just a hint of that bitterness in the back end, and it's kind of fun. So
it's good.
Yeah,
really good.
Evan Williams single barrel vintage 2015, and Kristi Noem, it's a sad day for your career. But anyway, any last thoughts? I think we're good.
Let's leave it at that, man.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks a lot. The Whiskey Rebellion on the YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, clicky the buttons, do whatever you need to do. You can also listen on a Fountain app, a new podcast app. We are on Fountain. If you listen there, you can boost the show with Satoshis, which, it does translate into dollars somehow. But anyway, we appreciate it. But most of all, thanks for hanging out with us. If you made it this long, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Something. I don't know. All right, thanks a lot. Yep.